Nearly half of all couples argue about money at least once a week, and financial stress is one of the leading causes of relationships ending. Non-traditional relationships, financial independence, and even living apart means that when money becomes a problem, splitting up isn't just about divorce anymore. It's an option that's on the table for more couples than ever before. One of the biggest challenges I hear from people when they're trying to get their finances under control isn't just about debt, saving, or even making more money. It's about budgeting with their partner. It's a thing they fight about the most, and for a lot of couples, it feels impossible to agree on money without the constant arguments. So if you and your partner want to stop fighting about money and actually get on the same page, you need a plan that works for both of you. One that won't leave either of you feeling controlled, resentful, or ignored. I'm Rose Colburn, and I help people take control of their money with real, BS-free financial strategies that actually work in real life, because no one should feel like wealth is out of reach. Money fights don't start with money, they start with how we talk about money. If you and your partner can't have a conversation about finances without stress, resentment, or arguments, then no budget or financial plan is going to work. The way you communicate about money determines whether it becomes a source of conflict or a tool that strengthens your relationships. If you avoid the conversation entirely or only talk about money when something goes wrong, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Instead, you need a better approach. So let's talk about a few strategies that make talking about money easier. Talk about goals first. If you don't know what each of you want and the goals you have, numbers and budgeting don't matter. Start with what you both want for the future. Shared goals make financial decisions easier, but that doesn't mean you must have all of the same goals. You each can have separate goals and still successfully manage finances as a couple. Use I statements instead of you. I'm sure many of you heard this concept before, especially when it pertains to diffusing arguments. Saying, I feel stressed when we don't have a plan works better than you're bad with money. This keeps the conversation open instead of defensive. Decide how to handle disagreements. If you don't agree on something, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Will this matter in a year, 3 years from now? If not, find a way to compromise and move forward. But for major financial decisions, it's going to be absolutely necessary to find a way to work together. For example, if one of you dreams of traveling the world while the other is focused on buying a home, you shouldn't have to give up everything just to meet in the middle. Instead, look for a way to honor both of your goals. A house purchase is a major joint financial decision, while traveling is something more personal. The key is to prioritize what truly matters without forcing either person to sacrifice their dreams. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to stay on the same team. Once you're able to communicate as a couple about your finances, you're on the path to financial success. And the next step is to figure out how to actually split the bills in a way that's fair for both of you and that you can agree on. Money fights often come down to one simple issue: feeling like things aren't fair. When one person feels like they're carrying more of the financial load, resentment builds fast. That's why it's so important to decide upfront who is responsible for what. Let's talk about 3 methods that you can consider for dividing expenses. And the first is a 50-50 split. This is best if incomes are close to being equal. The second is percentage based. If one person makes significantly more, you may have to come to an agreement about them paying a larger share of the bills. And the third option is bill-based. One person covers specific bills and the other person covers different ones. For example, you pay rent, I cover utilities and groceries. When both partners know exactly what they're contributing and why, there's less room for frustrations or misunderstandings. Another issue that comes up is the financial parent dynamic, where one person takes full control of the money while the other just goes along with it. That's not a partnership, and it can lead to a lot of tension. Even if one person is more financially savvy, both partners should be involved in the process. Maybe one of you keeps track of the budget or manages the joint account, but the other still has access and is part of the conversation. It's about teamwork, not control. When it comes to combining finances, a lot of couples worry about losing their independence. But managing money as a team doesn't mean giving up control. It just means setting up a system that supports both of you. A hybrid approach where you share what matters most but still have your own financial freedom can be the best of both worlds. To avoid confusion and keep things organized, having dedicated joint accounts for different financial needs makes money managing easier. Now, I'm not saying you have to merge everything into these joint accounts, and we'll get into personal accounts next. But having these core shared accounts in place makes managing money together so much easier. So let's start with the 3 primary accounts that you need to set up to effectively manage money as a couple. The first is your joint bills account. This is the central account where all your household expenses are paid from, including fixed bills like rent, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, and household discretionary spending, which includes dining out together, home decor, family entertainment. This ensures that everyday shared expenses, both essential and lifestyle related, are covered without confusion or resentment. When you set up these accounts, you transfer your money from your personal accounts into this account. The next is the Joint Freedom Fund. This is a safety net for unexpected household expenses like car repairs or a broken water heater, so no one person is left scrambling to cover it alone. Your Joint Freedom Fund should also include a 10 to 20% buffer for joint opportunities like last-minute travel opportunities, home upgrade, or seizing a great investment deal that you want to invest in together. The next is your joint purposeful savings. Think of this as your planned expenses account. It's my version of sinking funds. This covers things like annual insurance premiums, holiday gifts, and home maintenance costs that aren't monthly but are still predictable. And last is your future goals fund. If you're working on some future goals together, something big like a home down payment, a travel fund, or an investment account, having a dedicated account where you both contribute to these goals is what keeps you both aligned with what you want to accomplish. But there's something not many financial experts talk about, and that is the separate financial visions and goals that you each have. I recently watched a video where Dave Ramsey was taking live caller questions, and one in particular stood out to me. A man in his 50s called, worried about his financial future. He had no savings for retirement, and he and his wife, who had both previously been married, were trying to figure out their finances. His wife owned the home they lived in, and he contributed to the household expenses, but she was completely against combining finances. Instead of offering real solution, Ramsey insisted that the only way to be financially successful was to merge everything without considering the couple's unique dynamics and situation. And I absolutely disagree on that point. Not every couple has the same long-term vision, and that's okay. The idea that the only path to financial success as a couple is to merge everything, that's ridiculous and outdated. It works for some couples, but not for everyone, and that's okay. Relationships today look different than they did in the past. We don't live in the 50s anymore, and there are plenty of healthy, financially successful couples who keep certain aspects of their money separate while still working towards shared goals. And that's why I recommend a hybrid approach, where you set up these key joint accounts for shared responsibilities while still maintaining your own financial freedom. What really matters is that both partners are communicating, aligned on their financial goals, and working together in a way that makes sense for their relationship. And that brings us to the next secret to managing finances together as a couple, which is maintaining your separate accounts. One of the biggest misconceptions about combining finances is that you have to merge everything. That's simply not true. Even in the healthiest relationships, both partners still need some financial independence. Having a strong financial partnership doesn't mean losing your sense of autonomy. And that's why, alongside the shared accounts for household expenses, I strongly recommend maintaining personal accounts for your own financial freedom. And the first is your personal checking account. This is a separate account for personal expenses and any bills that aren't covered by the joint account. This keeps things organized for you personally and ensures you have full control over your own money. And next is your personal freedom fund. This is a personal financial cushion that includes an emergency reserve for you personally, plus an extra 10 to 20% buffer for opportunities. This ensures you have security and flexibility for unexpected situations or personal growth without relying solely on joint finances. And next is your Personal Future Goals Fund. Your Personal Future Goals Fund is for things that matter to you individually, like a solo trip, a hobby, self-improvement. Your Joint Future Goals Fund is for major financial milestones at working together as a team, like the house down payment, investments, or long-term travel plans together. And this is why having a Personal Future Goals Fund is important. So you don't have to sacrifice things that matter to you. For example, let's say one of you dreams of an elk hunting trip out in Montana, while the other is counting down the days to a beach vacation with margaritas in hand. Instead of forcing one person to compromise, you can each save toward your own travel goals without feeling guilty or like you're being held back. There's no rule written in stone that says once you're married, you have to have the same goals and dreams. It's absolutely okay to want different things, take separate vacations, and pursue separate goals, as long as you communicate with each other. Next is your personal purposeful savings. This covers personal expenses that aren't shared, like work-related costs, subscriptions that you want personally, or individual hobbies. The goal here isn't secrecy. It's about maintaining independence while still being honest and transparent with your partner. You don't need to justify every expense, but there should be some mutual trust about where the money is going. The system of having both a joint account for household finances and personal accounts for your personal finances ensures that you're managing money together without feeling controlled or having to justify every purchase. That way, finances become a tool for teamwork, not a source of tension. Because real financial success in a relationship isn't just about the numbers. It's about creating a system that makes both partners feel respected, empowered, and secure. The key to avoiding money fights is staying proactive, so you're making decisions together instead of reacting when things go wrong. The biggest mistake couples make with money is only talking about it when there's a problem. That's when emotions run high and conversations turn into fights instead of solutions. Schedule a monthly money check-in. It doesn't have to be complicated, just a quick review of what's coming up, what's working, and what needs adjusting. First of all is to pick a stress-free time to talk. No one wants to discuss bills when they're exhausted after work. Set a money date once a month to check in and make decisions together. And here's another tip. Avoid bringing money up during meals. For a lot of people, myself included, meal times should be a chance to relax and connect, not a time for stress or potential arguments. Choose a separate, neutral time to have financial discussions. Decide on a discretionary spending limit. Set up a number where anything over that amount needs a quick discussion. For example, anything over $200 from the joint account requires a check-in. Make it easy and low stress. Don't sit down with spreadsheets and this huge agenda. Keep it simple. Talk over coffee, have a financial date night, or check in while you're out doing something fun together. The goal is to stay ahead of financial stress instead of reacting to it. When you check in regularly, money doesn't have to be a constant argument. It becomes something you're working on together. Learning how to manage money as a couple isn't just about avoiding fights. It's about building a financial system that actually works for both of you. But here's the thing. Even the best financial system falls apart without the right savings strategy. If you don't have the right savings accounts in place, you'll constantly feel like you're playing catch up or struggling to cover unexpected expenses. Watch this video next to set yourself up for success. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.